Hi, I'm Serina Danker, your host, and this is SOS Stories of Survivors. I just wanted to welcome Arthur Lee, who is an incredible, amazing father, husband, friend, and he keeps fighting the good fight because he knows that with every setback is a setup for a comeback. He's the inventor of LifeVac, which is a life-saving choking device used worldwide. He's the author of the book Sorry, Can't is a Lie. And his personal mission is to change the world. Welcome, Artie.
Hi, Serena. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's so nice to have you. And I want to just get right into things. And I want to talk to you about, your background and what it was like for you as a kid growing up.
Well, I was blessed, very middle class, maybe even lower middle class, but my dad was an engineer. My grandfather was a carpenter, and it was the blessing was I got to learn how to do everything, fix cars, fix our house. It was just a beautiful, almost 1950s life. I played sports. They came to all my games. They were always there for me, and I was always working with my dad, so I learned so much, and anything from auto mechanics to woodworking to repairs, boat, everything. And it really, looking back, gave me a very well-rounded mind. You know. And the other thing is, he was an engineer. He worked on the space program. So,
Really?
it,
Wow.
yeah, in retrospect, you look back, and he was. His name is on the moon. He worked on the thing that landed on the moon, but you're growing up in a world where anything is possible because your dad's helping put a man on the moon, and the typical, it's not putting a man on the moon, So, inadvertently was taught, kind of anything's possible, and the capability to do it.
Were you an only child? Were you?
No, I had the other beautiful thing. I had a little. My sister's a little older. She went on to become a doctor. So I had another almost role model in someone that was persevering to do something great. And she went on to be a renowned gastroenterologist. And the early stages of life back, she was very helpful. And, we fought as siblings, but, she became like my best friend. We went to college together, and it was all good.
That's awesome. I mean, I know you for years, of course, through my husband, but you were always someone who looked for solutions or questioned limits. Did that come from an early age? As far as I've known you, anyway.
Well, I've always had something mentally wrong with me because I always was very 110%. When I played sports, I was always getting busted up. I mean, one year I was the most valuable player. I was the worst kid on the team, but my coach saw that how much I tried and how much effort I put in, and I don't know if it's teachable. I think it is, but I think there was an inner drive, no matter what I did. My first company, LifeVac. So, and I was like crazy, man. But that's energy and spirit, and that's just who I was. I am.
You I have to tell you, Artie, I mean, I've known you for years, but you've always inspired me. You are someone that I get such great vibes from, such great energy, and just who you are. You've always gone that extra mile your whole life. I mean, as far as I've known you.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if you had any childhood experiences that foreshadowed this later mission of saving the world or changing the world.
Well, I think, my dad going to the moon. There's a story where, my dad and my grandfather, we had a big garage in the back of our house, and my dad, the engineer, was thinking how he wanted to move it forward. So he was thinking how he could take it apart, move it forward, and rebuild it. And my grandfather just looked at him and said, "No, we'll just jack it up and roll it forward." And my dad was like, And my grandfather was a 210%. What's the problem? He wanted a boat, so he built one. He was, I think I got a lot of my simplicity, persevere, go for it, just do it brain from him. So we jacked it up, and I was a little kid. I had to pick up nails, and I put the rollers in as they rolled this thing forward, and they did it. But there was numerous examples of things that seem impossible or extremely difficult. And that environment, both my dad and my grandfather, was, what's the problem? Well, that's a big deal. We lift it up and roll it forward. One new cement basement. All right, break up the old one, rip it out, roll it up the stairs, put some new cement in, let's go.
There's a will, there's a way, right?
Yeah, I think, and it's part of why Sorry Can Is a Lie is the title, right? Oh, I can't do that. Yes, you can. You may not want to, but you can. And so don't use that word. And
Uh,
that was my house. We were not allowed to say that word. And I think
really?
that's another fundamental um, bringing up
Yeah.
foundation.
Let's talk about that. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
talk about that. So let's talk about you. So you wrote a book. It's called "Sorry, Can't Is a Lie," and that's an amazing title. So yeah, tell me about that.
Well, I think, and it's the title because in the book is a bunch of stories of events that happen that kind of create a foundation, right? And my opinion is the sooner you get your clarity of your foundation, which is really just your moral code, right? The few things that you will not bend on. FU money, don't throw the rock. Things that taught me that how to be a good person, how to have integrity, and that nothing's impossible. But in my house, we weren't allowed to say the word can't, So I think inadvertently from a little kid going forward, see the biggest in the micro part, right?
Yeah,
I can't make it to the party. Well, you could, right? So if you're not allowed to say that word, you're about to say I can't come to the party, and then you go, I'm not allowed. So you either have to say, I would love to, but I have to do something else. That's an honest answer. The
yeah.
micro, though, is you reevaluate that situation, right?
Mm,
Can't's too easy. I can't make it. Well, maybe if you took a second and thought about it and you said, you know what, I'll mow my lawn the next day. I'm going to go because I haven't seen that guy in a while.
yeah,
So it prevents you from digging that one way path, right?
yeah.
And in the bigger picture, when something happens in the whatever they say, oh, we can't get this through the FDA system. Well, I'm not allowed to say that. So my brain immediately says, how can I do that?
Hmm.
Right. And it's really the macro part of it, meaning your body, your mind is trained to think of what you can do by getting rid of the word can't.
Incredible.
Yeah, it was. I think that's one of the bigger ones that I was blessed to kind of accidentally learn.
Did you write the book with anybody in specific in mind? You know?
No, I was flying back and forth when Jack was going to college. I don't put my phone on in the plane. I use that as capsule time, I call it. And I usually don't even watch a movie, but I had to figure something out, and I was hitting all these stories. My uncle, FU money, don't throw the rock, the marshmallow in the wind,
Now,
and
these are all chapters in your book, right? Because I don't
yeah,
think our audience has read your book yet.
no, I know that's good. I like messing with them. Maybe they'll want to, but that was they were helping me make it to try and figure something out, and I kind of giggled, so I started writing them down.
That's so funny.
And then I was flying back and forth, and I would just write a story that I thought of, write a story. And then when I got to the accident, it was in there, but it all kind of started formulating around um, survival of that, right?
Mm,
What were the foundational tools that I got that helped me overcome and achieve? I built two successful businesses,
yeah.
and the Life Act is really I always been a mission. It had nothing to do with a business. I was done. So that was
You,
it was kind of funny though. I would love to have been sitting next to you on these planes because throwing a marshmallow in a gale wind that lands in a guy's mouth like that showed me nothing's impossible. I'll tell you that.
you have some incredible stories. I've read your book. I've read it actually twice because I loved it so much. Um, I know what my favorite chapters are, but I'm curious as to if you have a favorite chapter or a favorite message that you hope stays with your readers when they read your book.
Well, I mean, obviously, Canada's Lie, the first chapter, I think is I'm proud of that. Some of my favorite ones was when I talked my friend into throwing a rock across the canal and hitting a guy in the head, and depth of not taking advantage of someone, not realizing that you have a responsibility not to let people do bad things,
Yeah,
and certainly not to talk them into it. Um, the marshmallow story where I threw it in the wind and it went in the guy's mouth. I think
that's crazy.
just a mind. Uh, it in an instant it reevaluated. You got to try, and it might work like that. You know. So I guess those are some of my favorites. I like them all just because they're personal, and I do hope they help someone.
You know, the one that, of course, stuck with me, and I'm sure sticks with a lot of people that read your book, of course, is how you don't want to be a flat squirrel. And
Yeah.
how indecision on the part of the squirrel leads to his demise.
Yes.
And, you know, it's an incredible way that you, I had never thought about it that way. And that's the one thing about you, Artie, is you get me, and I'm sure other people as well, to think a little bit differently, to
Well,
see.
think about that story, and it when I was going to college, we actually the squirrel, real life squirrel, ran in front of us, and we crushed him, man. And I felt horrible. I could still hear him, us hitting him. And then later in life, the analogy that decision making is critical, right or wrong. And I was in a sales seminar, and they came up with, don't be a flat squirrel. You either got to run or stay, but you got to decide, and immediately connected to actually running over a squirrel that had a moment of indecision. So I was really, God brought to light that importance in a very real way, right? We ran over a squirrel that had a moment of indecision.
Yeah.
And the book is really about foundational ways to make decisions. But the real key is you got to make them. And it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. Obviously, you want to be right. Obviously, the more mistakes you make, the better chances you're going to get better at being right. But so many people get trapped in indecision. It's become second nature to me after 40 years of running things. I'll look, I'll think, I'll ask advice, and I'll make a call. And there'll be three on one side saying you're an idiot, and three on the other side saying it's great. And you just go, okay, I'm making it. And
You,
that's
yeah,
that's how you do it.
you've done. I mean, I of course know you for over 30 years, but I'd love you to take us back to the story of life, where you, um, the moment that you were inspired to invent it, and tell us
Well,
that story. You know.
well, there's a lot of depth to the moment, and it's a lot of God wink stuff because I was sitting in a hospital with my buddy, a wingman, which is a great story and very valuable lesson in life. Know who they are. Who are your real friends?
Mm,
And the reason I went there that night is because he is one of my wingmen. I was going home from work. I was tired. It was late, and he was in the hospital with his mom. And my brain said, "Well, he's your friend. You got to go visit him." I didn't want to. I was tired. It was late. I wanted to go home. And he pointed over at the gurney and explained how there was a 7-year-old that had choked to death. And at the time, Jackie was 7, and it was quiet, no cell phones. I'm staring at this steel gurney, and I'm thinking about that pain of her dying in my arms. And on the way home, as soon as I got home, I started researching and saw how often it happens,
yeah.
right? One child, 5,000 people a year. It's not a freak accident. So, fourth leading cause of accidental death. So, I no longer had the ability to ignore it, right? I got trained. I knew how to do back blows and abdominal thrusts, but now I was aware that she could choke, and you know, 7 out of 10 times, 3 out of 10, she's gonna die. So I said, okay, I got to be able to save her, and that's when I started experimenting and messing around, trying to just to save her. There was no big picture at the time.
Wow. And just take me through that process. Like, so what did you do? What was your initial, the way your mind works when,
Well, we have a silver lining to the all the negatives of our cell phones and Googles and all this stuff, because if you want to make a change, this is the best time in history, man. I was able to find studies from the 70s in Canada. I was able to find early 80s studies on the forces of uh, the abdominal thrust, how much force it makes.
hmm,
So the ability to research is incredible now, right? It would have took a lifetime to find those studies if you ever could.
right,
So initially, I did a lot of research because I realized it's a force thing, right? So
right.
if you look at the body as a tool, right? If you squish it, it's going to generate force and maybe knock it out. The problem is bodies are different. Everybody's different. Big, small, little, tiny, up, down. And the other thing is it's a variable force generator, meaning if you go, you're dead because you have no air, can't generate force.
Oh,
But I did find studies that showed how much force it takes for the Heimlich to work. So
hmm,
now I knew what kind of force I needed, and it's not much, which was amazing. And then I said, okay, simple, simple. I'm going to be panicking, right? I'm going to be terrified. And I had made a couple of things, but they kept getting too complicated,
hmm.
right? I had a CO2 cartridge, you had to gauge it and hit the button. And then I was like, okay, then the CO, you lose the CO2 cartridge, or goofy kid like me is playing with it and you put the back. So one night I threw out that item, and it was tough because I put a lot of time and effort into it. But I knew I had to have faith that my foundation of simplicity was
Mm,
necessary. So I went to Home Depot because I said, plumbers unclog pipes." And I
right.
just stood there and kind of looked at all the stuff. And I saw a little sink plunger, put it on my face, made a big pop, and boom, we were on our way, and the life back was born.
Wow.
I
That's
mean, this was a sink plunger from Home Depot. I just made a valve system, and that's it. Simple, simple. You hear
that
that pop?
that's incredible. I mean, it seems so simple, but sometimes it's the simplest ideas that have the most effect, right?
Yeah, I think there's an old saying, and Mike Rose says it all the time: simplify, 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 and then simplify.
Yeah. I'm sure that in creating the Life Act that you had encountered a few obstacles along the way.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to share?
Well, I guess the the thing is, in one, I knew nothing. I was, I had a transportation company. I drove a truck in college. I built it. I didn't know anything about manufacturing a product, medical journals, the FDA, um, the first aid protocols, medical testing, peer review, nothing.
Wow.
So that was a bit of a challenge, but I had to do it. But the other thing is, you can't test it. Like I said, can't. You we're not allowed anymore to get people and choke them and see if it works, right?
Okay.
So, so we did everything we could. We did force tests. We did adolescent simulations. We did adult simulations. We did cadaver studies. I had researched all the force, and I think if it wasn't for the fact that it's physics, not physiology,
Mhm.
and I could see that's when everyone stopped, because that's when you got to put your foot out over the cliff and hope when you put it down there's a glass lining that somehow was there, you know
Wow.
because that's when everyone said, oh, you can't test it, you're going to get sued, you're going to go to jail, you're going to lose everything, the FDA, blah blah blah. It was very few that said, yeah, go ahead and put it out and see what happens.
Oh my God.
But the funny is, like, you'll get a kick out of this. Like, in the beginning, I would go, like, meet with a fire department or elder care, and I tell them how great it is and the force and the venting system. I can't push it in, and they'd say, that's great. Does it work? And I'd say, yeah, no, it's gonna. I think so. I think it's gonna work. They'd be like, what? You want me to put this thing in? You don't even know if it works. I'm like, oh, why not? But that was the biggest obstacle, the beginning from everything I could possibly do to it to just having the courage and faith to put it out there. And now we're coming up on 4,000 lives saved.
I've just heard that. I cannot believe that the magnitude of
Yeah.
how many lives you've saved. I mean, how does that make you feel? I mean, how do you even comprehend the enormity of 4,000 people are hearing
Well,
you?
the God wink right before I clicked onto this thing and got myself horizontal. I, I, we saved the 2-year-old. Right. Yeah.
Oh,
So right when I was going to open up the link, reported life save came up. 2-year-old in New Jersey, family friend, popcorn, and I think all along the way the saves have come in to kind of keep me going. You know,
yeah.
but basically, and a lot of times they're all God winks. They'll come in when I'm down or I don't feel like I can go on and all that crap. But it's uh it's been an amazing journey with that.
Can you talk about the absolute first person that was saved by the Life Vac?
Well, like it's there've been God winks all along the way, but that was a big one because
Yeah.
there were two major times that he spoke to me in a sense of directly, right?
Mm,
And the first one was I got it, I could save Jackie, and I couldn't sleep because the enormity of the challenge and the obligation, right? So I'm sitting there saying, how am I going to live my life? And I read about a child that choked to death, and I'm sitting there saying, well, mine won't.
mm.
And then the other brain says, you killed yourself for, 30 years, building a company, you're going to retire, and you're going to get creamed. You don't know anything about this. And it's, you can't prove it works. And, it's a medical product. And I looked up at the sky and I said, God, give me the strength. And the shooting star went, shoo. And
Wow.
I said, all right, I think, I really knew the answer, right?
Yeah.
But he spoke to me right away. And the first save was the same way. We were in probably 6 years, we did, I think, 2 or 3 years of research getting ready, zero saves the first year, zero saves the second year. So we're in 5 years and I'm in the kitchen with Jackie and it comes over on my phone. Hey, Art, call me. We saved our first life. I show it to her. We start crying. I give her a hug.
Oh,
And I call the guy, and he's in the UK. I say, Matt, what's up? What happened? Oh, it was an elder care home. The lady choked. They did back blows. They did abdominal thrust. It didn't work. The nurse grabbed the life vac, and Jackie put it on her face and pushed and pulled. And one pull, and it came out and it saved her life. And I said, did you say Jackie? And he says, yeah, the nurse's name was Jackie.
oh my gosh.
So the first person to ever use it, and the multiple miracle, she was in front of me, right? Because I had 5 minutes before she goes to school in the morning,
Right.
and this all came together that she was there when I got to hear that
Oh,
her namesake saved the first life, and that's when I got another bolt of, you're going to be all right. Just keep
yeah.
going.
Sometimes it takes, a few bolts to make you
Oh,
recognize that,
I
right?
think I think God gives us God winks. So we talk about that.
Yeah.
Gives us God winks, all the time, whether we see them or not. But I honestly believe these were such significant development for mankind, for everyone. And so I think he gave me a couple direct answers that I appreciate because I know he's a little busy. So
But you're there. It's fighting the good fight, and
yeah,
you're not giving up.
no,
You keep on be persevering, keep getting up, wiping the dirt off your knees and moving forward. And I mean, you're no stranger to grief like me. I mean, um, you've had tragedies in your life. I don't know if you want to share how you've turned your tragedies in life or your grief into action or what helped you keep going, but would love to talk to you about that.
well, and sometimes, and I feel I don't know if you've ever seen Lincoln's bio about his challenges, right? And all the tragedies and setbacks. And I feel similar. And, the biggest one was my accident where I was 20 and my two best friends were going upstate to take a road trip. Fell asleep at the wheel, car went off the road. They both died. I was in intensive care for 2 weeks. The
Mm.
world just disappeared. Wanted to die for a long time. Actually asked them to let me die, but they wouldn't. And the only thing that kept me alive was my mom, because when you see the devastation like you have of yourself and everyone around you, and I saw two young men's families, parents, friends, siblings, all devastated. And obviously, I was driving, so it was even more so that it was my fault, which it was, but it was an accident.
Right.
But the long story is, I found a way not to end it, right? That was mom, because in my head, I realized I couldn't purposely do what I did, right? I did an accident.
Right.
And it was, in a way, thank God nothing happened to her, because I felt everyone else would have to deal with it. Too bad.
Yeah.
But I knew she was such a mush that if I did that, she would die, you know? So luckily, that made me hold on by the skin of my teeth, and really wasn't whole till Jackie was born, you know?
Mm.
It ate at me for a good 20 years. First 10 were horrible, didn't sleep much, you know. Uh, I was always hoping something would take me out, you know.
Self-destruction, right? I mean, that's what we
Yeah,
do, you know.
yeah, more of a, I guess, I
Mm.
was more apt to take a chance on shit. I'll jump this bridge, see what happens. If I
Oh,
don't make it, that'll be good too.
oh,
But it was a long haul of day to day. You know, you
I
know.
do know. I do know. I know that feeling, and you know, you have to find something that helps you keep going when it just feels like it's impossible, you know. And
I talk about my mom in that because, I know the show has certainly got such a valuable point, but I think we each need to find our own thread, right? Just something, anything that keeps you hanging in there. Because you look at me, look at you.
yeah,
We have hung on long enough to do something that's valuable, right?
yeah,
So we provide the hope for those years of hell, that if you hang on to that thread long enough, your God will come with you, and he'll give you purpose, and
it's a
there'll be,
journey, right?
yeah, there'll be light again. It just, you got to find that one thread to hold on to keep you here long enough
Yeah.
to find out why you're still here.
Or just be stubborn enough not to give up.
Yeah, yeah, that's true too. Oh man, I'm all about that.
Oh my gosh, it is a journey, and it's a hard road, but I think as we've both learned, nothing worthwhile comes easy.
No.
And we're here for a reason, and we don't always know what our true soul's purpose is, but I think both you and I are figuring that out along our journey here.
Well,
Um,
like we were talking about when I was in that, you see, the impossibility of what I did, because you can't test it, and no one was courageous enough to say I'm doing it and see what happens. Like I could see other inventions that existed and but they all stopped there. It's too scary.
True.
But when because of the accident, I would know the pain that you felt, that other
Mhm.
parents felt, and I said, I have to use that pain that I felt and say, I don't want people to feel that. And, if I get sued or the FDA, whatever, puts me in FDA jail, I'll work out, play cards, I don't care. But I got to do it. So I did
Oh my God, Artie, I love you, man. You are so amazing. And my next question, of course, is what you answered. It's how has being a father influenced your mission and your mindset? And you're answering that, I think.
Well, I think that on the light back side, it definitely did it. I think on when she was born, it was the beginning of reliving of life again, you know. That's when I kind of changed my life, and I said, the only thing in life I gotta do right is be the best parent I could be, right? Doesn't matter if I do good in my job, I sell, I make, I don't care. The number one thing I have to do is be a good father, best father I could be. And it simplified life, you
Mm.
know. And for the first time since the accident, you know, you hold your little baby and you're like, hello, like, you know, you're everything goes away. You know, you realize what true love is. You know, you understand that that's your only real responsibility.
Yeah,
No matter what car you have, a house you have, who gives a crap?
exactly.
You got this little booby that you get to hang out with. So that was a game changer in my soul. And obviously, I think the God wink that, think about it. I drive by him, doesn't happen.
Mm.
He tells me he was an 80-year-old, doesn't happen. Same age as Jackie, right? That was God saying, here we go. I kept you here for a reason.
Yeah.
You are now going to go do the right thing and change things. And you are going to stop thousands and thousands of people from knowing the pain you know.
Oh,
All because of my little booby.
that's, and the little nugget there, what lessons did you want her, or do you want her to learn from your journey? I mean, what values do you want her to take away from all of this?
Well, I think the the all the kind of foundational things in the book, you know, like when she was 7, right when I started this, we built a boat together. We built a
Mm.
paddleboard together. We camped on the island together. You know, in the book, there's a chapter on manners cop. She used to call me the manners cop. Please, polite, kind, open doors, hold doors, be a soul. And it was really the foundational things. That's what you're going to teach your children, right? Because
Yeah.
your job is to get rid of it. It sucks, but that's your job, is to make them good so they can go away. And then you stalk them like I did, and you buy a house close to campus. But the key is to give them that foundation, right? So I was constantly thinking and saying, how do I show her the importance of the elements of your foundation?
Mm.
And I said this at a speech with Dr. Carson the other day, and I said, you know, she was 3-star player in high school, principal's honor roll, 4-0, captain of gymnastics team, head of the art, National Honor Society. But the thing I was so proud of, she was voted most
Oh,
kind in her entire high school. And that's voted, you know, prom queen, king, funniest,
yeah.
most kind in the entire school. And that's when I felt, you know, that yes, I'm glad she was a sport athlete. Yes, I was glad she was captain of yes, I was glad she was a champion gymnastics in the state. Yes,
Mm.
the 4-0. But without the kindness, none of those really matter.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I felt that the effort to build a good human paid off.
oh, in spades. She's a beautiful young woman. But
She's just
how do
funny.
you but how do you balance your protection of her and also independence for her as a person? Have you found that
Well,
balance?
I have a non-traceable gun, so I'm pretty good with boyfriends. I make them aware that it's not going to be found. Um, you know,
He's just
it's
kidding, audience. Just kidding.
yeah, yeah, right. But the thing is, I've always realized, you know, we can't be too big a helicopter parents, you know.
Mm,
So, you know, I don't need my jacket. All right, don't take it. Freeze. Not gonna die. So I'll let you learn that lesson.
right.
But I really think it's a combination. We have to almost control ourselves from over parenting, you know? Heck, I was the opposite. You should see her list. I tell her to swim towards the sharks and go in the ocean. She's she's always looking at me like, I don't think I should do that. I'm like, such a wimp.
Somehow, I think you raised a really smart kid. Oh
Yeah,
boy.
I know. It's kind of cool. It's
So
like, I'm not doing that. We're going on a motorcycle trip in June. She's coming.
really? Oh
Yeah,
my
going
God.
through the mountains, but she's gonna ride a dune buggy thing, but she's coming.
That's incredible. Okay. So you've been through, you've we talked about friendships, community, but who's been your rock through all of this, all of your journey? Who's always been there? Who would you say is your rock?
Well, is Jackie and my wife, I guess, on the emotional side, but the uh, the wingman,
Yeah.
Brad, Mike Singer, Steve, my uncle Roger. There were people in my life that you learn. Um, the wingman is someone that's going to be there for you, and but you have to be there for them, right? It's a
Yeah.
two-way street, and you want yes men are not good.
Mhm.
Yes, thinkers are good. You need someone that you can tell something pretty crazy to, and they kind of go, that might work. They don't either say, yeah, you're good, right? Or no, you're an idiot. You need
Right.
people that you can share ideas, thoughts, feelings with that will take it for what it is. And in the case of Mike Singer, I mean, I showed him a glued together sink plunger, and he's like, "We could do this. We can make a valve." He never questioned it. He said, "Let's build it the right way and see what happens." And you need people in your life like that. And those are the ones you keep close. I mean, Brad and I have been friends for what, 40 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you got a good one, you keep them.
That's it. And these friends, they help, they build you up and your belief in yourself, and sometimes they change your life and your outlook as well.
I think it's more that they are with you, meaning you don't necessarily want them to build you up. You want them to be realistic and support you, and be optimistic, and to be encouraging.
Right.
You don't want the uh, people to tell you you're great, and you don't want the people to tell you well, the idiot one sometimes works, but the you want a teammate.
Yeah.
You want honest feedback, and you want optimism, and you want courage and
Mm.
loyalty. And I know if it was 4 in the morning and I called Brad and said, I need you to come here, and he'd freaking get in a helicopter,
Yeah.
and I would do the same. And that's how you build a really solid life, and how you can move forward on impossible tasks.
Yeah, well, and I think you're blessed because not everybody has what you have, the wingmen. Um,
Well, you see, I think that, and it's in the book about that, is you have to be one too,
yeah.
So I think that sometimes people are like, oh, that one's not there for me, and then you're like, well, were you for them? And
Mm.
really a deep relationship,
Yeah.
and you have to nurture it. And I think nowadays sacrifice is almost a dying art, that
Mm.
people don't want to sacrifice at all. And just like God having me stop to see Steve, I was tired. I'd been working all day. It was a freaking rainy night. I had to go all the way up Route 1
Right.
Northern Boulevard. But I did that because he's always there for me.
Yeah.
And so, we have to be willing to sacrifice to be a wingman and to have a wingman. And it just seems to me that, a lot more of life is that's too hard, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. And sometimes you got to throw that out and say, no, I need to be there for him. I'm going.
Thanks. Yeah. That's all right. Let's lighten it up a little bit. Let's have a little fun, some fun questions for you. Give me one word that you would use to describe you.
Nuts.
Oh my
I
God.
think that would be it.
In a good way. In a good
Yeah,
way.
yeah, oh yeah. Well, yeah, when you're an optimistic, can-do guy, you tend to be considered a little crazy.
Yeah, I think that's maybe one of your nicknames, Crazy Artie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no doubt.
But you're
But I was,
fun. You're
yeah.
you're always fun,
Well, and it goes to Jackie too. We've had a lot of good adventures. Because you try stuff. You go down the river and see what's up. What the heck? It's
Fun.
just uh, uh, it's fun. And yes, Crazy Artie is definitely one of my nicknames. That's all right. It's
So
appropriate.
it's It's good. It's all good.
Mhm.
So, what do you have a favorite quote or a favorite mantra that you use?
Well, I think I have some pocket ones. Can't lie, but I think to me, I love Theodore Roosevelt's "Man in the Arena."
Mm,
And, that's a good one. And I also keep the Serenity Prayer. I think the Serenity Prayer is really a warm blanket, right? God
yeah.
grant me the serenity, accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Mm,
That's it, right? And I think if you keep, those things, and the man in the arena is about the taking the chance and moving forward, right?
yeah.
It's about mired in dirt and sweat and blood and the pursuit of something great. Whether you fail or not, you do not live in the timid souls that never tried,
Right.
right? So pieces like that, To Kill a Mockingbird, I think Atticus's statement, um, you know, real courage is not a man with a gun. It's taking on a battle that you're whooped before
Yeah.
you even start,
Mm,
but you start anyway and give it all you got. Because
yeah.
that was life back to me. I thought I'd definitely get crushed. I didn't think I could do this. That's
But
why I
look,
did it.
yeah, well, and that's it. And look what that is. And it just amazes me, how, just life takes you on these
Do
journeys and on
you
these
do
paths.
you have one? What do you have like a pocket quote? Like, do you have something that you keep in your breast pocket that you have?
Yeah, yeah, there I do. I um I think my growing up was similar to yours. We didn't grow up rich, we didn't grow up with much, but my goal was to always just strive to be kind, to do the right thing,
Yeah.
no matter what it was, and just to be true to who I was. And
But
it wasn't
do you use the Serenity Prayer? Is that one of your pockets?
the serenity, actually not the serenity prayer, but I do. It's weird, but I Hail Mary. I use the Hail Mary.
Oh, we used to do that in football.
No, different. This is
Oh,
my
different.
Catholic upbringing.
Oh, okay.
I ask
I thought it's when
Mary.
you throw the bomb at the last second.
No, but it's kind of similar because at the last second when you're struggling, I say, Mary, give me the strength, help me, pray for me,
Ah,
help me get through what I'm
okay,
going through,
okay.
and
Is that
and
why the Hail Mary? That's where it came from, I guess, right?
not a sports girl. This is not going to work.
Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness.
I was one of those chicks that smoked her cigarettes and watched all you jocks out on the
Well,
field, and I was like, oh, look at them. Oh, that
that's
one's
so cool that
cute.
I just made that connection because in sports, it's 2 seconds left, you're gonna throw the Hail Mary.
You
Doug
see?
Flutie's pass, it was the ultimate Hail Mary. But I didn't know that's where it came from.
I don't know, but it makes sense.
I learned something. I'm so excited.
That's so funny. You crack me up. Oh my gosh. So, okay, I got one more question for you. What's next for you, Artie? What's next?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was sitting at a bonfire with Jackie before she goes back to school. We go to the beach and one night and we make a fire and we just sit and talk. And I was like, Jack, I don't know if I want to go in my van and live out of it, and explore, or maybe I should become president.
Well, there's two options,
Yeah.
viable, you
And
know.
she said, Dad, that's you. That being living in a van down by the river or being president of the United States are on the same maybe I should do list. But I really I gotta finish this, stay focused, finish this mission.
Yeah.
Schools and people with disabilities
Oh,
are non-negotiable.
yeah.
And once I accomplish that, then I will let my future unfold. I mean, I've learned so much in this that it's
Mm,
tempting to take on. There's some real things I've learned about neurological conditions and drowning, and
wow.
but I gotta trust me. It's hard for people to understand how rough, 7 years it was,
Yeah.
and it's kind of tricky to purposely walk into that again
Yeah.
especially at 60. But I don't know. God will tell me. I don't care. I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll be in the van down by the river as a president, right? Who needs
You
a
know,
White House?
that's it, exactly. And if you can give a final message to anyone struggling with grief, doubt, or the word can't, um, what would you like them to know?
Well, I think it all relies, going back to the foundations and faith. And find that thread, hang on, have faith, and be kind, do good. Um, Believe that nothing's impossible, whether it's your recovery or something you want to do.
Mm,
Um, and as I tend to post, keep going, you
yeah,
know, but find the thread to hang on and have the faith that the sun's going to come out and that your pain is going to produce something like we both have. And I think that's a key message is that today may be the worst day of your life.
mm,
Tomorrow may not be, and there'll be days. So hang in there,
mm, beautiful.
and hang in there long enough for the miracle to take place, and you find why you're here. And
Mm,
that's just find the thread and look at us, look at the magic, look at what we can do. And because we hung on to that thread long enough to
yeah.
let something come. So
Mm.
that's my thought. And that's what I hope gets in. And that's why that chapter is kind of in the middle of the book,
Now,
right?
where can people find number one, the life hack, number two, your book, or follow you, or what's your
Well, the best place is to go to lifevac.net. You can get my book there. You can get a life hack. Obviously, if you have a choice, get the life hack. I'm not too worried about the book.
Yeah,
But I think like your show and your soul and my book, there's more than one way to save a life, you
yeah,
know? And I'm hoping your show, my story, that we save a life on the inside.
yeah,
Because that's not as obvious as pulling something out and not being dead in 4 minutes. But
yeah.
it's probably it's a lot. We have to put a lot of work into that too, you
Mm,
know.
for sure. And normally I close out my show by reading one of Scott's poems, but
Oh,
today I have a special message because April 23rd is the anniversary of Scott's passing. And I think it's important that our audience knows that every 11 minutes, someone dies by suicide. And because it's the anniversary of my son's passing, my family and I are joining the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention on June 21st. They're going to be doing a walk out of the darkness. It's actually their 30th anniversary of it, where you walk from sunset to sunrise across New York City. And I've started a team, and our team is named SOS for Spirit of Scotty. And my goal is to raise awareness and change how we look at mental health. I've posted the link to donate on my website, serinadansker.com. If you follow me on Insta or on Facebook, I have the donation link there too. Any amount of money would truly be welcome and mean the world to my family. And I'm hoping that together we can change the world just like Artie has. And I just want to thank all of our listeners for your support. And remember, SOS, Stories of Survivors, where survival sparks the soul. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Artie.
oh man, what a pleasure.